My fiancé and I chose to have a destination wedding, so we settled on a date. We planned the wedding for about 6 months during the summer. It was a dream come true because I was marrying the love of my life. We arrived in Miami on Thursday evening. The next morning, Friday, we split up for our bachelor's and bachelorette parties. It was a blast. My friends and I stayed up all night celebrating my last night as a single lady. I wondered if the girls would wake up early enough for the wedding the next day. As for me, I didn't sleep a wink. I was too excited and jittery. My mind was racing, and I couldn't settle down. I tend to overthink things. At 5 a.m., I couldn't wait any longer for sunrise, so I woke everyone up. The girls groggily got up, and we started getting ready. By 7 a.m., the makeup artist still hadn't arrived, and my friends were acting strangely. They seemed to be hiding something, but I figured they were planning a surprise for me or something. It was 8 a.m., and we were still not close to being ready for the wedding. At 9 a.m., they didn't seem bothered and, in fact, were finding ways to stall. I was not having it, but I also promised myself that I would not be a bridezilla, so I forced myself to be calm. When it was time to leave, the girls said they wanted to talk to me. They said the wedding had to be moved by an hour because my fiancé wasn't ready yet. I remember making a joke about how he probably overslept after their fun time the night before. I was a bit disappointed, though, because I wondered why he would be late for the biggest day of our lives. We finally left for the church. When we arrived, he wasn't there, and my mom was nowhere to be found either. I guess she went to find out what the problem was. After an hour, I became agitated, and I had gone through every possibility. Did something happen? Was he in an accident? Did he have cold feet, etc.? I tried to call everyone that could be around him, but I didn't get through. After a few minutes, a car pulled up in front of the church, and out came his best friend with a disappointed and sad look on his face. He told me that he and the other groomsmen didn't know where my fiancé went. They all said their goodbyes last night and went into their suites after the bachelor's party. He looked like he had more to tell, but was hesitating, so I probed further. Then he blurted out that they couldn't find most of his belongings in his suite. I had heard of people being stood up on their wedding day, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would experience it myself. I wondered if I did something wrong, but we didn't have a fight, and there were no signs that he wasn't happy or was having cold feet. I broke into tears and cried uncontrollably. My dad informed our guests and apologized for all the inconveniences. He told the guests that they could stay for the reception since they came all the way and everything was already paid for. I wasn't interested in socializing or eating, so I left. In fact, I'd have preferred to be underground at that time. By evening, my dad called, and he sounded worried. He was back in a suite by now and noticed that my mom's things were not in her suite either, and we had not seen her since morning. Were they kidnapped, or did she know where my fiancé went when she went after him and has not had time to reach out to us? We desperately needed answers. We called the police and informed them that 2 people were missing. A thought crept into my mind. What if both of them left together deliberately? But I dismissed that thought. My fiancé could not possibly elope with my mother. Well, my suspicions were right because I got a shocking text from her the next morning. She stated that she and my fiancé had fallen in love and wanted to be together. They apologized for the pain their love had caused us. Really, who does that? Our vacation was cut short, and my whole family went back home the next morning. I also canceled all our reservations for our honeymoon since that definitely wasn't happening. It has been 2 weeks now since the incident. My mom and ex-fiancé have tried to reach me on several occasions, but I wouldn't hear them out. It was the audacity that they would expect me to just behave like everything was okay and things could go back to normal. That ideology was twisted because I'm usually a forgiving person, but this one was a big challenge. I wouldn't speak to them for weeks. So they tried to use my siblings to get to me, but that did not work because we were all angry at them. My mental health at that point was terrible. I felt like I'd become a laughingstock. I didn't want to go out or be seen anywhere that anyone would recognize me. Good thing I run my own business so that I could take a break. My mom finally got through to my father and she explained herself. My dad decided he wanted to move on because he was just hurting himself by trying to stay mad at her. I, on the other hand, did not care. Well, until my father spoke to me and convinced me to at least hear my mom out. Not for them, but for me, so that I could get the much-needed closure and move on with my life. I thought he made sense, so I agreed, especially because I wanted to know how this could even be possible. How could my fiancé prefer my mom over me? It was like a bad dream that I so desperately wanted to wake up from. It's a given my mom looks amazing. She and my dad had me when she was 16, so she still looks pretty good. But that did not give her the right to take my man away from me. I could only imagine what my father was going through. He seemed to be taking it well, but I'm sure it was because he wanted to be strong for me. Both of us could not grieve at the same time. Turns out when I first introduced my mom to my fiancé, they kind of hit it off. I had thought she just really approved of him as my boyfriend and was supportive of both of us being together. She was very fond of him. And whenever we had a fight, my mom never sided with me. I didn't think much of it at the time because I was usually the one to pick fights, if I'm being totally honest. I thought she was practicing to be a good mother-in-law. I only spoke to my mother, though my ex could go straight to hell. He tried to reach me several times, but I blocked him on every channel he could possibly get to me on. I never want to see him or hear his voice again. He can have a nice life with my mother. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom never to reach out to me again? Because as far as I was concerned, she no longer exists. As you can imagine, the pleading continued. It baffles me how much they still want to remain in our lives. They both should have thought of that before eloping. Remember I mentioned that our wedding was supposed to be a destination wedding? We had traveled to Miami, and when they eloped, the two lovebirds had a really good time. How did I know? Well, all the time I was crying myself to sleep and also stalking them on social media, they were shamelessly posting their every move. My mom went as far as calling me with an unknown number and started monitoring my movements to know when I was out so she could get the chance to speak to me. The first day I noticed her, I ignored her. Then it became too much for me, and the thought of having her try to speak to me over and over again after telling her I never wanted to see her again was traumatic. Like, what couldn't she get? I wanted her out of my life for good. I tell you, this lady followed me everywhere. I was so fed up I served her a restraining order. Maybe one day I would let her back into my life, but I think she needs to respect my decision. I need time. What happened between us is not something that happens every day. That would be really weird if it were. Confession, I kind of forgot how to be single. I've had a boyfriend for years, and now it feels weird not to have one. It's like I don't know how to act. It may be funny, but that's an actual thing. I don't have to check up on anyone. No one is checking up on me. Worst of all, Valentine's was just a normal day. That never happened to me in the past 5 years. One thing's for sure, I'm not rushing into any new relationship. Still single like a Pringle, and I like it that way. I joined this group where ladies empower each other. We're not extreme feminists, but we encourage and stand up for each other. I'm learning to enjoy my own company. I also made this weird decision out of the blue to listen to my ex-fiancé and hear what he has to say. Sometimes I wish I never met him because of the way he hurt me, but I remember we also had really memorable times as well. I decided to meet him for breakfast at a coffee shop. He looked scared and shy when he came in through the door. It was like he didn't know if to approach me or to turn around, and he was sweating a lot. He finally took a seat and started to apologize. He said he wasn't sure how he and my mom fell in love, but they just did, and they hid their feelings for a long time because of the other parties involved. Still felt the anger. disappointment, rage, and even a little bit of jealousy. But right there at the coffee shop, I decided to let everything go. But I still didn't want them to have it easy, so I still maintain my restraining order. Call me petty if you want. You are definitely not the a-hole for asking them to be out of your life. I would probably do worse if I were in your shoes. I had a friend of mine in a similar situation. She did not take it well at all. You seem to be doing well. P.S. Your mother is crazy. The next story. I have been a nanny to a couple, we'll call them Jenna and Mitchell, for a few years now. They have been great people, and I also like the pace since they are fairly wealthy. They give me a big sum, and I also love their kids. They have a boy, 4, and a girl, 5, who are really sweet, and I look forward to seeing them. On to the problem. Jenna and Mitchell decided to host a party at a restaurant they live close to. No problem for me. I'll watch their kids like usual while they have their fun. They're giving me the rundown on things like the usual, but then something. All they said was, and make sure the kids are ready to be picked up by 9:30 p.m. I thought this was strange, but decided to push it to the back of my mind as they never said previously anything about other kids and only said that one statement. Maybe it was just a slip-up. About 20 minutes go by and Mitchell's and Jenna's friends come over to pick them up, I'm assuming. So I go over to meet their friends, and their friends brought all their kids for me to babysit. There were at least 7 kids I saw. I pulled Jenna aside and asked her why their friends expected me to babysit their kids and to just get someone else to babysit them, as I only agreed to babysit her kids. She seemed taken aback and said she thought I wouldn't mind since I don't do anything else with my time anyways. My husband died 11 years ago, so I'm always by myself at home now, which is true, but this was never part of the agreement. Apparently, all her friends were busy and couldn't come to the party because of their kids, and to save money and time, Jenna just offered to dump all their kids at her place for me to watch. I got angry and said unless she's willing to pay me 7 times the amount of money she pays me now, there's no way I'm watching 9 kids for the amount of time that they're gone, 8 hours, and I just wouldn't be able to handle it. Her face changed from confused to frustrated, and she said I should be lucky I'm their nanny at all with the amount of money I'm paid, and to be grateful and do this one thing as it's just one night. She just wants to treat her friends to a nice dinner. I was shocked and didn't say anything else and just left their house. Mitchell later called me, cussing me out and saying how I humiliated them and embarrassed them with my actions and how they had to cancel everything last minute because of everyone's kids, and I was a selfish, stuck-up, lazy person for not doing this one-time thing. Didn't say anything the whole way through until he was done talking and just hung up. And now I'm really wondering if I messed up here. I really like their kids, and they were great people before this incident. Am I the a-hole? I didn't expect to be posting an update so soon, as I thought they would both just ghost me, and we wouldn't talk again, and they would find another nanny, but I was wrong. Jenna called me this afternoon, hoping for an apology. I picked up. She tried to guilt-trip me into babysitting for her kids again, saying how there isn't another one like me, and she didn't want a younger nanny because she didn't want the kids latching onto her and calling her mom. And if anything, wanted them to think of them as a grandma. What? She then went on to say she was sorry and she was wrong for doing what she did and wanted me to come and be their nanny again. I let her finish with her event. After she was done talking, I said I was sorry she was that insecure about babysitters her age, and if she was that worried, she should probably focus on her kids rather than her business. And even though she doesn't respect my time and effort, I do. I told her good luck finding another sitter and blocked her and Mitchell. I'm still having a hard time finding a replacement, but at least I'm free from the entitlement they showed. I most likely would not have said all of that and put my foot down if it wasn't for all the comments you guys gave, so thank you. I really downplayed my self-worth as a nanny because I've been a caregiver for years, so this boost really helped. Not the a-hole. It's just business. You're following the established contract. If they didn't want to be embarrassed, they should have contacted you prior to renegotiate. And by the sounds of it, they don't pay you enough to turn blind eyes this once in order to retain the job. Failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine, not the whole. Obviously, child care workers are so often underpaid, and their hours and energy are often exploited. You didn't embarrass them. They embarrassed themselves. There should have been a discussion with you beforehand to see if you were available for the night and if you were willing to care for more children. And if you decided to do it, there should have been a strong increase in pay from the other parent's children. Super rude of them. Here's the next story. So you're out. I know the title sounds bad. So I moved to a new city a few years ago, and when I did, I met Kendall. We met on a dating app, but we realized that we both just moved to the city and used each other as tour guides or friends to meet people. We've been close friends ever since. We hang out 2 to 3 times a week and with texts throughout the day. Eventually, my friend moved to the city, and I met more guys, and we all hung out together. Kendall hangs out with our group. She doesn't have any female friends and enjoys being one of the guys. Kendall is highly attractive, very outgoing, and has a fun personality. When we go out, guys will hit on her, but she pretends we are together to stop the creeps. She wingmans for me sometimes. It's been a good partnership. So I caught feelings. Yes, I'm stupid, I know. I told Kendall this about a month ago, and she let me down nicely, saying that she valued our friendship too much. I told her, totally get it, no worries. I tried to take the rejection and not make her think I wasn't her friend. We still text, but we only hang out about once a week now. I also don't text her all day anymore. This wasn't purposeful. I just started to focus more time and energy into goals I'm seeing romantically. Kendall has been pissy at me since. Nice for you to be able to fit me into your busy schedule, in a sarcastic tone. I've tried explaining to her that I need space to get over my feelings. I've been talking to this girl for the past 2 weeks. We decided to go camping. I invited my friends and their girlfriends. I decided to not invite Kendall. My reasoning is that Kendall can sometimes rub girls the wrong way. She's a talker, so a lot of girls think she is flirting with her boyfriend or peacocking. The girl I'm talking to is very sensitive, so I don't want her being intimidated by Kendall. I also don't fully feel okay being around Kendall yet. It's a lot to explain, but my chances would definitely be better if Kendall didn't come. So Kendall asked about my plans this weekend. I told her I had plans with a girl. She read it and didn't respond. She then texted my roommate Dallas and asked him what he was doing. Dallas, not knowing, ended up telling her. I then got an essay from Kendall. She went off on me, saying that I was a shitty friend, that I stopped including her in my life, and to quit making an effort to ask her about her day. Told her that wasn't true, but I was dating now, and she needed to be cool knowing that meant I wouldn't be as available for her, and that maybe she needed to make some girlfriends if she wanted someone to vent to all the time. She would hurt my chances if she went, so that's why I didn't invite her. She then called me in a hole and then went and told Dallas she wasn't being invited because she turned me down. I told my friends that wasn't true and explained my reasoning, but some still think I'm being a jerk. Am I? Nope, not the jerk here. I might catch flack for saying this, but this girl had you doing all the things a boyfriend would do emotionally without reciprocating any girlfriend duties. She's the one in the wrong. She's making everything about herself, but how is she supporting you? It's unrealistic of her to expect to be the center of your world after turning you down. Seeing each other once a week is more like being adult friends. Your reasons are valid